Good morning. Today is June 25th, and this is my garden tour. This is my front garden, and that is a volunteer pumpkin. I had pumpkins displayed out here for a long time last fall, and one of them planted a little seed there. So usually my vines don't last until they bear fruit. Usually I get squash bugs in them and they get like destroyed overnight, but we'll see. Sometimes if it's in a new area, they don't find them right away. So these plantings were original when we planted when we built the house 4 years ago. Those are false cypress. And then we have perennial salvia, and this whole area was lined with the perennial salvia originally, and it kept spilling over into the grass in the second half of the summer, so I replaced it with hosta. That didn't do well, so then I replaced it last year with cotoneaster, and I just like the shape of those, and those are doing really well here. And then up above I have some mums that I planted last year, and I'm going to add another one in the middle there. Some creeping phlox, and then our foundation plantings are Sweet Spire, Little Henry, which needs to be pruned back. I had roses in front of that originally and didn't care how those looked. So I've replaced it with boxwood, and I'm not sure that I love that yet. So I might have to put something with a little more color in front. Moving into the back, we have some foundation plantings around the side of our house, basically boxwood. And we were continuing that down the side of the house here, and found out that we had our lines marked, but that's our electrical line for our sprinkler system, and since it's a private system, the city won't mark it, or the utility companies don't mark it. So I wanted to have some color here, so I put these big pots, and last year I bought them, and I'll post a picture here, I had them filled with zinnias and petunias and some other plants, and I thought I'd try an experiment this year, and I did the grasses that have done really well for me. This is a fountain grass, and then I planted seeds. So this one is a sedge, and these are cosmos seeds. These are supposed to be something that's very appealing to pollinators, and I planted some sunflower seeds, and I have them up here because if I put them in the way back, I know the squirrels are going to get them. And even here I have little forks in there because the squirrels have come in and started digging in that pot. And so what I read is if you put little forks in your pots upside down, when they dig, it pokes their little paws and they won't do it. And then here's some more zinnia seeds that I planted. So they were really pretty last year with when I planted the little plants, but they didn't last very long. Towards the end of the summer they were looking a little tired, so I thought maybe this way they would last longer. This is a viburnum. It is a Korean spiced viburnum, which has really nice smelling flowers in the spring. I think in the variety of spice. I think Spice Baby. This is another pot that I've planted up. I like the Angelonia, and this one took a long time to bloom, but now it's pretty spectacular. And then I included some coleus, which is a workhorse for me. It looks good all year round, or all summer long at least. Does really well. So, but this one's getting kind of overtaken by the Angelonia in this pot. And a little tin flag decoration that I've had for very many years. This is my second year with this planter. Last year I had some herbs in it, which didn't really get used. So this year early on I put snapdragons in the front, and I just have not had time to get out here and deadhead like I should. So they are getting kind of sad looking, and they don't like the heat. So they aren't going to look nice in the summer, but come probably September, October, November, they will be blooming again, and I think they'll be very pretty. And then again, I planted zinnia seeds here, and I'm hoping to have enough that I can cut some and bring them into the house. And then the squirrels planted this. It's getting kind of raggedy looking, I think, because of the weather we've had, but we think it's a sunflower. So hoping to get some sunflowers out of that in the next couple of weeks. And this is another pot that the squirrels have come up and been digging in, and they kept digging up my snapdragons. So I just, after I would eat my lunch at work in the morning or in the day, I would bring my fork home, and then I would put it in my pots. These are some pots that I have on our patio. Again, my coleus, and I had continued the same color coleus, so there would be some continuity among the look of everything that I have planted here. Sweet potato vine and calabracchia. I love pinks and purples in my garden. And my husband loves red, so for him, since this is one we can see from the house, I got red mandevilla vines, and I'm pairing them with kind of a lime colored sweet potato vine. And again, to have the continuity, I have the pink calabracchia. Although this looks like a little bit different variety, but kind of still the same shade of pink. So we have two of these pots. Last year I had this is supposed to be more of a compact mandevilla. Last year I had a really viney one, and I had trellises in the pots, and they grew up and grew together, and they were and they didn't really bloom very much. So I thought I would try a smaller variety or a more compact variety this year. And they do seem to be blooming really nicely. Same pot on the other side of and looks like this is broken off. We had some rain and wind the other night. I don't know if that's what happened to that. It's a sweet little concrete planter that I have and keep some little random rocks in. And then I have another planter on the other side of the patio, similar to the one that we saw at first, except this one I had the pink mandevilla in. I'm sorry, the pink angelonia in. And I noticed the other day that my coleus in this one was broken, and this is kind of laying a little flat compared to what it was. And I thought maybe it was from the rain or the wind. We didn't have a very heavy rain, but we did have a lot of wind. But no, I think it's the squirrels. I think the squirrels came up and dug in it and broke my coleus. So this will come back. It has a lot of nice leaves, and I think it'll fill in again in a pretty short period of time. So we bought this property because it had a stand of trees in the back, and then it also just touches on the edge of the neighborhood lake. And when we bought it, I'll insert a picture here of what this originally looked like. I always knew I wanted to have a garden with hydrangeas in the front, and I thought I'd keep the back natural and put a path through it. But this was where these trees in the back here are. or the island beds, that was all overgrown brush. And so 3 years ago, we put in all of the plants here in the front area. We had that outlined. We didn't put sod there when we built. And my husband and I planted just a lot of bushes. Also insert a picture of that to see, so you can see how it looked 3 years ago. And then 2.5 years ago, we had a landscaper come in. I had interviewed several landscapers. I mean, I had gone online and looked to see what their aesthetic was. And I kind of had an idea what I wanted the back to look like. And there was one lady who came out who didn't have a very fancy website, but I could tell from what I could see on the website that I really liked what she did. And so she totally understood what I wanted and did a landscape plan for me, and then recommended a man to do the work. And he came in and he said, I need to clear out the brush to see what you have here. And so he and his team cleared out all the brush in the back, which was a really huge undertaking. And I'm going to move because of the sprinklers. And created these garden beds. And so last year was my first year planting up the garden beds back there, and we'll get back to that. But this is the front part of the garden. These are, I just put these lilies in because daylilies seem to do really well for me, and these are a proven winner spider variety, and I'll have to scroll it here. I'm probably going to blank on some of the varieties of these. This is my second clematis I've planted here. The first one the rabbits ate. Last year the rabbits ate this one too, so I was very happy when it came back. And this is Jack Money. I'm not sure you pronounce that, but I had that at the other house, and it did really well for me. So I thought with the lilies here, clematis typically likes to have its roots shaded in the afternoon, so I thought that would be a good addition there. I have a Weigela here that's done blooming. But I like the shape. This is a volunteer penstemon. I have some planted on the other side of the yard that I put in last year, and it popped over here too, because that's what they do. These are the first hostas we planted, and this is the first year they are really, really doing well. But the past couple of years, it's been hard to remember exactly where they were. So last year, I put in cotoneasters between them. I like plants that have kind of a weeping shape, so that's why I like the cotoneasters. And then they get the little red berries, and they have such sweet little leaves. But I just really like their branching habit. I especially like them against rock outcroppings, which is not how I have them here, but okay, I'm moving because of the sprinkler. This is a first hydrangeas that we put in were these little lime hydrangeas, and they have really taken off this year, and they are going to be blooming here shortly. I am nuts about concrete urns, so this is one of my concrete urns, and I was doing an experiment this year. Instead of planting directly in the urn, I put it in a pot, and the idea was that the petunias would spill over the edge of the pot. And then I have some licorice vine in here, and I think these are Supertunias Bordeaux. The idea was that the petunias would spill over the edge of the pot and hide it. And this way, if we go away for a long weekend or a few days, I can take the pot out and put it on the ground, and the sprinkler system will hit it, and it will do okay. But I had to take one of my petunias out. For some reason, when the garden centers, I had trouble finding super petunias this year, and the one plant I bought just never really did very well. So, but I love the purple. I really wanted to try the Bordeaux this year. So then another hosta. I'm trying to get this in the morning while the light is good. So this year, for a little extra color, I bought these several vibrant blue pots and put them in the front of the garden with plants in them. And this one has some pink impatiens and the little cages around it because the rabbits are eating it. I will have to say, since we cleared out the brush in the back, we don't have rabbits like we used to, but we do have them enough where they do still eat some things. And so you will see I have cages around a lot of things. Another cotoneaster. I was trying to replicate these two hostas, or the four hostas I have here. So I put these two in last year, but obviously they are a different variety. I don't think they're going to be nearly as big. When we had the landscaping done, they moved some things around and they put in a walkway for us here, which is very nice, but I lost some plants because of that. And I think I lost one of my hostas, so I was trying to continue with my line of hostas, but actually I do kind of like that there's a little bit of variety, and you'll see I have a lot of hostas. I saw these little colorful ceramic mushrooms on a local garden tour several years ago, and I just thought they were so cute and whimsical. And so I have them here at the entry to my back garden. It's just kind of a whimsical accent, and I just thought it would be, sorry, I'm getting hit by the sprinkler here. I thought it would be something that would be appealing to our granddaughter when she visits. This is a bridal wreath spirea. Again, this spirea has that kind of vase or weeping shape that I like. So that was one of the first things we put in. Of course, that's past blooming now. And I moved on the other side of the sprinklers. On the other side of the garden path, I have some more daylilies, and these are, I think these are many happy returns, or happy returns. It's a proven winner. Another little piece of concrete. I have some more of the little ceramic mushrooms, and then a little frog statue. When my granddaughter was visiting, she really enjoyed coloring him with the chalk. I used to have several frog statues in our other house and sold them when we moved, but I kept a hold of this one. He's so cute with his little top hat. Then a peony that I know I need to cut the buds off. I just haven't had a chance to get around to that. That one seems to be very happy in that spot. And then when we had the garden designer in, one of the pieces of advice she gave me was to repeat shapes or colors, and that would bring uniformity to the garden. And so I didn't quite follow her advice, but one of the things that you will see repeated several places are these kind of gold mop false cypress. And I did that to bring uniformity throughout, so it's not, I have a variety of things, but it's not just a kind of a total mishmash. There's something that's holding it together. So this is another one of my blue pots. I love heuchera, and I do have trouble growing it, and I think it's mainly because we have a lot of sow bugs, pill bugs, roly-polies, whatever you call them. But I wanted to try it in a pot, and I have it with some kind of a peachy colored impatient, and I really like that combination. This is the area, kind of as you can see, under the bird feeder, and I have trouble growing things there. So this spring I put in the liorope, the variegated liorope, because that seems to be a very, very hardy plant, and I thought this will fill in a little and make it look a little better. When we had this front garden area put in, we had several really big stones in the landscaping, or in the yard, that were natural, and I had the graders take several of them and space them around the garden. And so we have 3 of them in the front garden here that were in part of our yard and just moved around to be kind of focal points in the garden. I put in some evergreens just for some year-round interest. I have a black lace elderberry back there that I put in last year because I just love it's a nice narrow shape, and I love the way the leaves look and the contrast it makes with all the green in the garden. So much of this area is new this year. This is another place where I've kind of had some trouble growing things. So the front of this garden bed is Lady's Mantle, and the variety is Thriller. And then I put in some allium, which I just love the shape of allium. I had it somewhere else in the garden. It didn't make it, so I'm trying it here. And then catmint or nepeta is supposed to be very attractive to pollinators. And then there's my workhorse coleus mixed in with some New Guinea impatiens, and that is what I have in the front yard as well. New Guinea, or the variety is Sun Patiens, because those do really well for me. And it's one thing the rabbits don't eat, and coleus is another thing the rabbits don't eat. That's why I have a lot of it. This is a Annabelle hydrangea, I believe. And this is just so spectacular. If you come out here when, as it's getting dark, this just glows. So I realized I need some uniformity and in the garden, and so I just planted another one on the other side of the bird bath here. And I will scroll the variety here. I have some daisies that are a little scraggly looking. I don't even remember planting them, so I can't tell you what variety those are. Then another impatient in the pot. I'm hoping they start blooming a little more. I put new dirt in my pots every year, although these are new pots anyway, and I usually use Miracle-Gro. And the one that helps make sure they have a good amount of water, it's called, I think, Moisture Retention. Another Sun Patient. This is one I had just moved from that other location when I put in the catmint and the allium sedum. And then this Sun Patient I planted here back in May, and it's really doing well. And this is another one. The light pink really glows when it's starting to get dark out. This pot is doing a little better. Although I have another petunia that didn't make it over there. But this licorice vine looks a lot nicer. And this pot is actually, like I said, I love urns. I love the shape of it. But it is a little shallow, so I do wish it was a little deeper for planting when I do plant them in them directly. I'm not sure what variety of sedum this is, but I like sedum. That's another thing it seems like the birds eat it or bugs eat it, but that one is finally doing well. Some more daylilies. I have a variegated dogwood that I love. This is another one that looks so pretty in the early evening hours. And has a pretty shape. Actually needs to be trimmed a little bit. Another black lace elderberry. When we had the work done in the yard, that one got broken off pretty badly, but it's coming back well. And then I have some ornamental grass that I put back here, just to soften the corner here. And there's one of my alliums I planted in the past coming up. And this year I edged this curve with marigolds. Last year I used alyssum, sweet alyssum, which does not bloom all summer. It's just too hot here for it to bloom. but it will start blooming again in September, and then it will bloom it's bloomed as late as December for us. Again, the false cypress and coneflower that I just kind of plopped here. I might move it in a little bit, but I love coneflowers. And these false cypresses are looking a little rough, and I kind of suspect it might be, again, the sow bugs, because I noticed this has kind of what looks to me to be typical sow bug damage, where you just see some plants are dying off. And so I treated that with some Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew. I try to be as organic as possible. I had some euonymus here, and I moved most of it, but euonymus is another thing that is, it's hard, I don't want to kill it, but it's very, very, very hardy. And in my other house, I had it several places, and I kept moving it around, trying to find the perfect spot for it. So I always appreciate a plant that you can replant and it still thrives. And then back here are spireas that have really pretty pink blooms in the spring. These, the landscaper moved. I had them spread out a little more, and he put them kind of in a head shape, so I need to trim those up a little more. This was a big area I needed to fill in, and so last year I put the variegated Liorope in, and I'm very happy with how that looks. I like the fountain grass kind of look, and I just like that fountain look on the curve of the yard here. Lamb's ear is usually a really good perennial for me. I had it in the last house and it did really well, so I just put it in this year. I'm hoping it does well. I especially liked it when it is, adjacent to some purple flowering plants, so maybe next year I'll put some purple impatiens back there, or maybe a purple perennial. We planted 3 burning bushes originally. I don't think these got moved. These might have stayed when we had the landscaper come in. But one of them got eaten by a deer and is just still kind of struggling there. I mean, it has new leaves, so I think it's going to be okay. But yeah, for whatever reason, one of them got chewed on. Several more varieties of hosta, another heuchera, and then these are under cones because rabbits have been chewing on them, and I think these are some more cone flowers coming up back here. And then this is typically what happens, and this is what typically happens to my autumn choice sedum. I'm not sure if that's birds. I guess it could be slugs. I have some sluggo maybe I need to put down. I don't know if it's rabbits. I have another peony. Back there is a butterfly bush. That is a large butterfly bush. And this is, I think, its second year there. So next year I expect it should look a lot better. This is an area we have a large river birch here. This was one of the first trees we had planted, but 99% of the bushes were planted by my husband and me, and all the perennials. So I'm trying some pink perennial salvia back here, and so far it seems to be doing pretty well. I have trouble growing Russian sage, so that is one stand that came back, and I'm very happy about that. This is where I moved the euonymus that had been up in the front there, and it's doing really well here. Again, some more of the false cypress, a black knight regalia, and then some more coneflowers that are returning, some salvia that is kind of hit the first blush and is not, and I cut it back. Tried planting some Shasta daisies back here. I think those are another one that tend to get eaten by the sow bugs, and so I treated the one in front because it's not doing super well, or it might be getting too much water. It's hard to get enough water in some of the yard and not enough in the rest because we have the overhead sprinkler system, or the pop-up one. I have a bare space in the front here, and I think I'm going to put one more false cypress in along the curve here, and then some mums because I really like the fall color for mums. I was trying this pincushion flower, and it's just past its blooms right now, but it's supposed to be a good pollinator, attractor for the pollinators. And then some more daylilies. And these are the kind that should bloom again. And then I think this is rue. I had purchased some plants from a group that sells pollinator-friendly plants last year, and that was one of them. I purchased like 3 of them, but that one came back. I have irises that I know I need to deadhead. And then I have 2 more, and these are small butterfly bushes that came from that same sale that benefits pollinators. And they are just starting to bloom. But I don't know why I planted that lily so close. I'm probably going to move it out a little bit. These are the rose bushes that we moved from the foundation. And I think I need... This was another plant that came from the sale of the pollinators, and this is a Joe Pyeweed, and it is doing really well. It gets pretty big, and it has flowers that are very attractive to pollinators. So I'm going to back up here. I have this whole area that I need to do something with, and this was a mess of poison ivy and other, weedy kind of things. So it's been some work to get it cleaned out, and I think I'm going to try to plant some more of the sun-loving plants back here and see how they do, because I think this one faces west. And then moving over here, I have some places I need to work on. These were in my front urns for the spring, and I just moved them back here, and haven't gotten enough water, so they're not doing super great. But I just didn't have the heart just to pull them out of the urns and throw them away. Some more. I think these might be Captain Kirk hostas. This is a panicle hydrangea I planted this spring. Love the pretty red stems. And this is supposed to be one of the earliest blooming panicle hydrangeas, and this is Quickfire. But unfortunately, and then when I read it after I planted it, it says it is not really resistant to deer, which we don't have a lot of deer, but I know we have them from time to time, so hoping it will do okay here. This was the penstemon I planted last fall that ended up on the other side of the garden, or last year. This was some just really pretty lime-colored heuchera, and the sow bugs did get the one, unfortunately, and I did try to treat it, and I guess I didn't treat it fast enough. I think that's called pistachio, but I really love that. I've spread over 100 bags of mulch this spring, And so I did it over a 1 month period, and I know it would have been more cost effective and much less work to have it delivered in bulk and spread it that way. But I had to clean up the beds, I moved plants around, and I just couldn't have done all that in one weekend if we had the mulch delivered like that. So this was one of the beds that I planted last fall or last spring rather, after the landscaper had created it. I have never tried Brunera before, but I really love it, and most of it is the original is Jack Frost, and then I tried a new variety this year because I thought they're similar leaves, I can mix them in, and I really like, I will post what variety it is. I really like the more of the silver color on that one. Then I have Ajuga is really doing well as a ground cover. A couple of Empress Wu hostas that are very happy here. I have another Empress Wu over here. I think I had 2 of them in this back garden that got moved by the landscapers and lost one, but that one is doing well. And this is another Clematis, and I think this is blue, it's called Blue. So that was another one the rabbits ate. Then I have 3 holly bushes back here. This was another one that was moved by the landscaper, but they're doing really well here. And one of the other things that the lady who came in and talked to us said we needed some more evergreens in the yard because we had too many deciduous bushes, so we needed some evergreens for year-round interest. And I wanted something with a weepy shape, so I have the Norway spruce with the weepy shape. This garden bed is anchored by a redbud. One of the early things we planted was 2 redbuds. This one and this one. The one in this bed we had to replace, and I'm really happy with the one we replaced it with. I think it's a better variety for our area at least, and I'll put what it is here. And then Patriot hostas are doing well. This is another small garden bed with trees. We don't know what these trees were. These were something that the landscaper left when he cleaned out the yard, and they are really pretty. They had little white flowers on them in the spring. And have a different variety of hostas there. The landscaper tried to repeat the variegated hosta, or the variegated dogwood back here. I don't remember what the variety is, but last year we did not have a watering system back here, and this one just didn't make it, although it is coming up from the roots. I'm going to give it this year. If it doesn't look good, I'll pull it out and replace it with the same variegated variety that I have in the front garden. This is the bed where we had an evergreen, a beautiful evergreen transplanted from the front of the yard back here, and it was so pretty, and then that's the one that the beaver chopped down. So that's a bed I need to work on this year. And I'm thinking I'm not going to put another tree there. I might put a dogwood bush and then some more of the false spireas in front of it to carry through that theme. This is the landscaper did come in last fall, and I asked to have beauty berries put back here, and he planted 5 beauty berries back here in the back edge, and they get really pretty. They have a fountain shape, and they get really pretty purple berries in the fall. And so hopefully that's something the deer won't eat. This is another bed I need to work on. There is a beautyberry back there that's doing well. We have a magnolia. And the first year after it was planted, we had a rough winter, and a lot of the magnolias here looked really bad, but it's coming back. So I'm looking forward to that thriving and doing well, because that's a brown bracken. They're very pretty. This hosta has my favorite name. It's Whee, W-H-E-E is a variety. And this was the false cypress that was in the front garden that I had to replace this year, and so it had some life to it, so I brought it back here and planted it, and we'll see if it can recover back here. Another garden bed, and this rock the landscaper brought in, and he planted green giant arborvitae for some screening, quick growth and screening. This one didn't make it. He planted 3 of them, I think, and this one did not make it last year because, like I said, we didn't have the sprinkler system going back here. So we had it replanted in the spring. And then I also had planted a 9-bark. This is Tiny Wine 9-bark. And that one is kind of didn't get enough water, but I think it'll come back. It does have some good growth on it, so I think next year it will probably look a lot better. And then I love Hakanakloa, or Japanese forest grass. And I really like it with this variety of hosta. So I think that's really pretty. This is a garden bed that changed a lot over the past year. We had 2 big oak trees that died. I mean, the one had leaves in the spring, and by the fall it was totally dead. And so we had someone come in and take them out, and so this bed looks totally different than what it was originally. I had planted the dogwoods in here, and they are native to our area, so they are doing really well. And I've been trying to decide what I want to plant in front here. And I think I'm going to put another variegated dogwood in the front here. There was a tree where the 2 little ferns are. There was a tree right there. So that's one of the trees that got cut down. And then I had the painted ferns planted there, and then I had also planted 5 of these, I think, and I have 4 that came back, and I'm sure it was pretty rough on them when they had all the... I'm blanking on the name right now, so I'll have to scroll it. But it's not quite they like the shade, and it's not as shady as what it was originally, since we lost 2 trees. But another dogwood, and I need to trim it back. Some more hostas. Like I mentioned, I have to keep a cone over some things, because especially when their hostas are young and new, the rabbits really like the leaves. Another arborvitae. And then this is another new garden area to me, and this is edging the creek back here, so it might be hard to keep it cleaned out. I had to cut away a lot of grapevine back here, and it was very hard to plant in. The landscaper managed to get another beautyberry back there that seems to be doing well, but I almost wonder, and then I have one over here. I wanted to put another Empress Wu hosta back here, and then have a little concrete bench in between them. I don't know that I can dig deep enough to put the hosta back here, but I was wondering, I know some trees don't like to have dirt piled up on their roots, but I was wondering if I could put some, bring in some dirt back here, just a little bit of dirt back here, so I could plant the Empress Wu hosta, because I think that would be really pretty to have that. And then the pistachio colored hostas, which are called designer jeans. And then the one of our local nurseries had a clearance on the Hakanakloa grass, which last year was very hard to find and very expensive. So I got a couple more to put back here because I just love the shape, the waterfall shape. And then here I did get one of the Empress Wu hostas planted here. I think that would make a very pretty contrast with the pistachio leaves there. Then one more, this is the other side of the bed with the magnolia. This is one that I need to work on this year because there's a big area back here. So one of the perennials that the nursery had marked down was a stilbe. I've tried growing a stilbe a couple of different places and hasn't done well. So I'm hoping back here might be a good spot for it. Because I love it. I love the look of the leaves and the flowers. And so since I had bought 2 of the Empress Wu hostas, I put it back here at least temporarily. But that might be another good thing to anchor these beds with, would be the Empress Wu. And here the magnolia has a bloom. So I think it's a good location for it. It just needs a little less cold in the winter. So that is my garden tour. There's a lot. This is a new garden. The part in the far back was all planted just last year. So I'm still learning and trying to figure out how to take care of all of these things. And then it's changed too. I have a oak leaf hydrangea here that likes the shade, and since planting it there 3 years ago, it's never really done super well, but since planting it there we lost 2 of our big oak trees. So I might need to dig it up and move it because it just doesn't have the shade that I think it needs. And then since we lost 2 oak trees, we lost them to fungus, we didn't want to put in another oak tree, so we put in a maple, and I think that will be really pretty in a few years. So thank you for coming along on my garden tour, and yeah, I enjoyed sharing my garden with you.